Thank you, Lord Mayor. And it's with sadness I address this chamber about the death of Christine Ransome-Wallis, who I got to know not in a Liberal Democrat capacity, but in a professional capacity back in the 1990s, and got to know quite well. And only after a while, after we'd known each other, did we discover a common interest in liberalism and liberal democracy. But in fact, as we've heard, Christine served twice on the Liberal benches in this council in a period 20 years apart. When I got to know her, she was working as a press officer for various health authorities, and I was working on the Birmingham Post. And in fact, her husband David was a senior sub-editor on the Birmingham Post, which created a slightly incestuous relationship. And those on the benches down here will understand when I say it was a little bit frustrating sometimes when a tip-off for a good story emerged through the editor's office, because somebody had picked up something around the dinner table the previous night and mentioned it to the editor without mentioning it to the specialist reporter. But we got to know each other very well during those years, and then later I discovered that she was a Liberal Democrat, as I was. I never served with her as a councillor, but you look at her record, very hard-working, and chatting to her family, their feeling was that she loved being a city councillor, and in particular she loved working for people and working with people. And my main memory of her is that sunny optimism. And if you know, the health service in the 90s was not quite as desperate as it is now, but it was always in trouble. And the ability as an NHS press officer to exude sunny optimism is quite a characteristic. And sometimes I think as a councillor maybe it helps too. And Christine was somebody who wanted and liked to live life to the full. And in fact, what's interesting is that after she retired, she really set out to live life to the full. She travelled the world, her son told me, and she really did travel the world in those years. She visited every continent. She spent a year in Australia. She went skydiving, and she travelled coast to coast in the United States. And good on her, because she'd earned it. As anybody who can take the time to do such things has earned it later in life. She leaves 3 grandchildren, and I speak on behalf of our group and I'm sure on all of us in expressing our deep condolences to them and our many thanks to her for her public service. Thank you, Lord Mayor.